75% of the oncologists surveyed said that if they had cancer, they would not choose to have chemotherapy because of its ineffectiveness and because of the extremely dangerous side effects.
Okay. Thank you for repeating that. I think that's important. Kay, at this point, I'd like you to jump in. We have about 10 minutes left, so we've covered a few things. At this point, what would you like to cover that you like for sure that people know about?
Well, I think that a good example to give people at this point is statin drugs, because Lipitor is the leading selling drug in the world. And, of course, the vast majority of it is in the United States. But
And let's define that's for lowering cholesterol, correct?
Yes,
okay.
That's correct, for lowering LDL level. So but this emphasis on lowering LDL, that does not actually prevent heart disease. Statins have never, ever been shown to prevent heart disease. And half the people who suffer a heart attack, men and women, actually have very reasonable cholesterol levels. So I want to use a quote here. This is from Dr. George Mann, who was the co-director of the Framingham Heart Study. That was the largest heart study ever done in North America.
And when was that done?
Pardon me?
What year was that study done?
Oh, that covered decades.
Okay.
That was started in the 1950s and went. I'm not sure. It may even still be continuing.
Okay.
It went on for decades.
Okay, continue. Thank you.
So Dr. George Mann was the co-director of this study, and this is his quote: "The diet heart idea, the notion that saturated fats and cholesterol cause heart disease, is the greatest scientific deception of our times. This idea has been repeatedly shown to be wrong, and yet, for complicated reasons of pride, profit, and prejudice, the hypothesis continues to be exploited by scientists, fundraising enterprises, food companies, and even governmental agencies. The public is being deceived by the greatest health scam of the century." End of quote.
And when did he make that quote?
I'd have to look back in the notes.
Well, that's okay. Just a ballpark figure.
It's in the notes.
Okay.
But in addition to that, in addition to people realizing that this whole emphasis on statin drugs will prevent heart attacks, I want people to also be aware that numerous studies have been done now that show that the people with the lowest cholesterol levels die earlier from all causes. Now, isn't that interesting? Yes. And it turns out that, and Dr. Dwayne Graveline, who is a former astronaut and is an MD himself, and who had a severe memory side effect, total amnesia, in fact, when he was put on a statin drug, he began to research it, and he, on his website now, is warning people that what had been called the evil of our century, this cholesterol, is actually very necessary to the body. So Dr. Dwayne Graveline, a former astronaut and an MD himself who suffered a severe memory loss when he was put on a statin drug, he did his research into it, and he found that there are thousands of cases of memory dysfunction that have been reported to the FDA's MedWatch, that's the Adverse Event Program, but that the agency still has not acted, and it is still not listed as a side effect, and that's why so many physicians are unaware of this. And Dr. Graveline also went on to say the same cholesterol that we have been led by the pharmaceutical industry to believe is public health enemy number one is now proven to be absolutely vital in the formation and function of the trillions of synapses in our brains.
Interesting.
So, yeah, here we go again with, and yet look at all the marketing out there. As I say in the book, hearing the truth about pharmaceutical drugs is like hearing a mouse tap dance during a hurricane.
Yeah, quite the analogy there. Thank you, Kay. Kay Carlson on Common Ground at 100.7 WZLX. Her book is titled Diary of a Legal Drug Dealer. One drug rep dares to tell you the truth. The website is diaryofalegalDrugDealer.com. Real quickly, I'm curious, how about high blood pressure? Did you look into that one?
Well, only insofar as they are trying to treat people, healthy people, by saying that they have pre-hypertension, which is high blood pressure. They have pre-hypertension. In fact, when I was a pharmaceutical rep, we were trained to push that to doctors, to market the product and push this idea that, well, you put a person on the drug to prevent them from even developing hypertension. So there we're back to this is a way of getting prescription drugs being taken by healthy people. So
okay,
and of course
that answers that one.
Oh, and another thing about statin drugs, the whole diabetes epidemic that we see, and there's a lot of reasons we're seeing high diabetes level. And food, people's diet is a big part of that. But that actually is coming out now as being shown as a side effect. The development of diabetes occurred at a higher rate in the clinical trials of people taking the statin drugs than the placebo group. So, and we have millions of people in the U.S.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the interview, you mentioned this really briefly, but I think it would be worth mentioning it again now, how while you were a rep, you saw the cholesterol levels change, and maybe you could reiterate that.
Yeah. The cholesterol guidelines
thank you,
are continuously lowered, and the committee that makes the decision about what those new numbers, lower numbers will be, those are people who, for the most part, have financial ties to the pharmaceutical industry, to the companies that manufacture statin drugs. And all those lower guidelines are doing, the purpose of the lower guideline is to create a larger market for statin drugs. It's about money. It's not about health.
Okay, thank you. I wanted you to mention that one again. At this point, what's your take? You've put this book together. What do you suggest? This machine has gotten very, very, very big. We're really affected by it. Do you have any recommendations?
Oh, I recommend that people, first of all, truly look at what they're putting into their bodies. How well are they taking care of themselves? Because if they don't look after their health, their good health, they will be having to look after ill health. So they need to pay attention while they're healthy. And for those that think something is wrong, they seem to be unhealthy, learn to listen to your body. Find healthcare practitioners, and there's becoming more of them out there now. Find healthcare practitioners that aren't drug pushers. Find healthcare practitioners who look to using alternative methods, what we call alternative methods in this country. Look to healthcare practitioners who, if you walk into a reception room for a medical practice and it's full of pharmaceutical drug reps, my suggestion is leave. Go find someone else, because the research shows that physicians that take any sort of gifts from pharmaceutical companies will feel a reason they will feel like they need to write prescriptions. They write more prescriptions if they see drug reps, if they take gifts from doctors, if they get the free lunches, if they, go to become a speaker for them, if they're getting some sort of money, some sort of benefit from the pharmaceutical companies, they will write more prescriptions. That's what the research shows. So my suggestion is find the healthcare providers that don't get any financial gain from pharmaceutical companies. Find healthcare providers that go to alternative methods that look for root causes of poor health rather than the symptoms.
All right, excellent. Great advice there. We only have a couple minutes left, and I'd like to just have you state this because I know this is one of the important parts of your book. And I have a question written down here about why you dedicated this book in the memory of all the children who have died.
Oh, I dedicated the book in memory of all the children who have died because they are so vulnerable. You know, adults at least have the choice if they're told if they're told by a healthcare provider, here, you should take this drug. An adult can make the decision, no, I don't want to. I don't want to take this drug. I choose to look for other ways of improving my health. But a child doesn't have that option. And the pharmaceutical industry truly has focused on, they are preying on the children of this country more and more. And the death rate of children by pharmaceutical drugs, the death rate is showing it. The number of children that are addicted to prescription drugs now shows that this industry has no conscience. To them, it's only about for the industry, it's only about profit. And I just feel that besides injuring the individual children, as we injure the children, we injure families. As we injure families, we injure communities. And in some way, this is going to affect our entire society at some point. I mean, if the 2010 school year opened with 20% of all U.S. high school students addicted to one or more prescription drugs. And so we are on a track right now of creating a society with a huge percentage of people addicted to synthetic chemicals, addicted to prescription drugs.
Okay. Kay, this has been a fascinating interview, and I know we could probably speak for a couple more hours, but we can't. So I'm wondering if there's anything that you would like to say in closing.
I wish everyone good health, and I hope that they will become aware and do whatever they are comfortable with, whatever their comfort zone allows, whether it's just changing something to benefit their own health, whether it's doing something for their own family, or if they can do a little more by looking, going to the schools and checking out what is occurring in the schools. Are the drugs being pushed by the prescription drugs being pushed within the school systems? Anything that's within a person's comfort zone, I ask them to do, because we need to take some grassroots actions here.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Like I said, what a pleasure. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you very much.
Very welcome. And again, Kay Carlson's website is diaryofalegalDrugDealer.com, also the title of her book. And a big thank you to Kay for all that she's doing.